Welcome back. In this video, I'm covering whether or not you need to register your business on Etsy. So if you're using Etsy to sell products, or really this applies to any online type of website that lets you sell products or even your services, do you need to actually register your business? And what does that actually entail? If you're new here, my name's Amanda. You're watching The Business Finance Coach, where I simplify all these technicalities to help you succeed so that you can focus on what you do best. Check out the description below this video for links to other videos and resources that I give away and everything I cover in this video. Let's jump in to, do I need to register my Etsy business? So first we need to talk about what registering a business is versus forming a business. And of course that will include the different types of businesses. But I'm going to focus on the easiest route for people to take when they're getting started, but also cover if your business is already gotten going so that you can figure it out if you need to at this point because your business has been successful in it. So first of all, there's a difference between registering a business and forming a business. If we look at my business types cheat sheet, this will help us because it really just breaks it down to make it simple. We don't have that many business types. Businesses are formed under states, and so states do have their own individual rules, and I'll show you how to look those up. But because there's risk involved with new types of businesses, people generally use the same common options like the LLC, sole proprietor, corporation. So the sole proprietor is the first option, and you can see I've distinguished on the left separate businesses, separate from the owner. The sole proprietor is the only type of business that's not separate from the owner. So a sole proprietor is what means that you can just start a business by selling things or trading money for services or products or anything. You get money, you're not paid as an employee, you are a sole proprietor. Even if you never set up a business, even if you never registered anything, you automatically become a sole proprietor. And so a lot of people could be sole proprietors and don't even know it. You know, you could be a contractor. There's no legal type of business for contractor. They actually are sole proprietors. Now, under most states, you don't actually have to do anything to form a sole proprietor. But for all of our other types of businesses, those are actually separate from their owner. It's a separate entity. It can be responsible. It can be liable. It can have its names on things, right? It's a separate entity from you. It has to have its own bank account. It does everything separately. So forming those, you have to go to the state where you're going to be primarily operating. It's best to form it there and look up your state rules, which I'm going to show you how to do in a moment. And you can form those businesses by filing some paperwork. And when you do that, you can also, it's basically like registering at the same time. That's how most state websites work these days. So if you're a sole proprietor, you don't have to do anything, but you can and should register at your state once you have sales. So if you're just trying to get started on Etsy, I encourage people to focus on doing that and getting their business started and not feeling like you need to do a bunch of legal steps over here and registrations. Because the fact of the matter is, if you register a business and then you don't make sales, and that might be because you come up with new ideas, you know, when you're getting started, you throw a bunch of stuff at the walls and find something that takes. I mean, that's a really common way to start. So you just don't want to invest too much time to get going, to get started on Etsy, right? So that's why I encourage you to focus on getting started, not worry too much about the registration. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And then once you have sales, great, head over to your state and get registered. Now, if you want to form a separate business like an LLC or a corporation, which I don't recommend the corporation, but certainly the LLC is common. I have videos and courses that show you exactly how to do it. You do it through your state website as well, but there's just more costs and steps associated with a separate business. So regardless, if you are just getting started, you might want to wait to get registered, or you can follow along with me in the next steps as I recommend doing once you have some sales. You do need to get registered with your state, and you can follow along with what I'm doing. Now, as some of these websites get a little more developed, they may account for state taxes. And once and if they start doing that, then you might actually be required to register before getting started. And you'll be able to know as you're going through and getting set up. Like if they ask you questions like, what's your state registration number? Then you're gonna know. But typically that's only for taxes. So if your state has some sort of sales tax. And additionally, this area gets really tricky in business because where the business operates is wherever you are. But with the sale of products and services, it's based on, generally, every state has their own rules, but it's based on where the customer is. Fortunately, many states have adopted some de minimis rules so that until you have either 20,000 transactions or 100,000 in sales, you don't need to worry about filing in those other states if the only reason you're required to file is because you have customers there. So you can check out future videos I'll be doing on state sales taxes. Don't let that overwhelm you right now. When you have a few sales here and there, no one's gonna come knocking on your door, and I'm all about doing things correctly, but it's just not an appropriate place for you to get held up and too concerned. Like, don't let that prevent you from moving forward. Just follow along with me and I'll show you exactly how to head to your state website and look up how you can get registered for your business. So first, I do have this document from my courses which goes state by state with information for the business name lookup, for forming an LLC, for contacting the state. So you can click on this link and look up your state where you're located, or you just search register my business and your state name. So in this case, I did New Hampshire. Do not click the ads. You don't need to pay a third-party company to do this for you. In fact, it only makes things more confusing, in my opinion. The state websites are set up to handle this, so it just makes things take longer if you use like a third party like LegalZoom. So I don't recommend that. Skip over the ads, and then you'll see a site that has a link which includes .gov for your state. So you can see registering business in New Hampshire, and you'll get this result for all states. Now, every state has its business website, but typically they've created a new type of website for registering online where you'll log in and that sort of thing. So we can see with New Hampshire, first of all, we have a phone number. So calling your state can be a great thing to do. You could say, hey, I'm getting started as a sole proprietor, haven't made money yet. I just want to know what I need to do to register. If you have any problems following what I'm doing here on New Hampshire on your state site, calling the states can be a great way to get help. Just be sure to say exactly what I said. They will be a little apprehensive about giving you legal advice. So our first option says register with New Hampshire Secretary of State. Okay, great. Registration of a new business. We come down, we can see Secretary of State site, and then we see new online business registration. And so New Hampshire Quick Start is an online platform for business registering with the corporate division of the Secretary of State's office. That's another thing you can search is Secretary of State and then your state name as well, if for some reason you have trouble getting a result with register my business. Now you'll have a similar thing that's like an online business registration platform. You click that and this is where you can get set up. We would just say create an account, and that's going to walk us through. Or you could click create a new business and you'll be able to choose sole proprietor. You file a report annually just to update your contact information. Even though it says file annual report, it's not really a report, it's just your basic information. That's every state I've seen. It's just updating your contact information. And if I click over here, we can see some different things they offer. And you can see this option, register a trade name. So if you're interested in using a name that's different from your personal name for your Etsy website, you can file a name that's going to represent you're doing business as that name. And that's much easier than forming a business that's not forming a business. That's just saying this name, I represent that name. And every state calls it something different. So in New Hampshire, they call it register a trade name, right? But in other states, they might call it a DBA, doing business as, a business name, trademark. So you can just look out for what option your state has if that's a route you'd like to go and you want to use a different name in Etsy. But just remember that people don't buy things because of your name and your branding. And I know that that can be a little confusing because a lot of people talking about starting a business and that do branding and design, they might feel otherwise, right? While it may influence some people to buy, it's nice to get started rough and ready, right? It's nice to just get started with the basics because then you know you have something people really want. And then because you know you have something people want and it's working for you, then you add the branding and that increases your sales, but you're not putting a ton of investment into making things super perfect before you get started. Of course, getting a trade name is not that big a deal. The reason I'd kind of recommend waiting is because if you haven't had a hit with what you're selling and knowing that people are buying it, why invest the time in branding yourself until you know you have something people want, and then you can brand that specific thing. A lot of times people will brand the wrong thing, but it's all up to you and what you feel guided to do first. Some people really like getting the business set up and it makes them feel really legitimate. It's just sometimes I see people use it as a bit of a self-sabotage to kind of hide behind all of these things these technical things that have to be done that I don't understand, which there really aren't those things, right? Forming a business is just about what I said before, the entity. It's just all about ownership. That's it. Liability is based on who owns something, and that's it. There's not so much stuff. When you get into like a corporate structure, there is a lot of rules, and that's why we have the LLC. But still, the basic concept of the business, that's the core of it. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you're getting started on Etsy, do let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, give it a like so that YouTube knows, or share it with someone who needs it. And if you're new here, I give away a free business spreadsheet template, which could be great if you're just getting started. It has a basic accounting worksheet, training videos, quarterly taxes calculation for you, as well as end of year taxes. It helps you total all that up and get your write-offs for being self-employed. And I give that away for free. Now, if you already have a full business going, I do have a Master Your Accounting and Taxes program, which has complete accounting records, but everything is in spreadsheet templates so that you don't have to learn software and you're able to do it yourself. Check out the description below for more on that stuff, or you might like some of these other videos. I'll see you next time. Bye.